What's up, everybody? It's been a while since we've done this. As usual, glad to see everybody back. To my right, we have Mike. How's it going?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you, Roger.
You sipping on a beverage?
Uh, Almost empty coffee.
Nice, real cold.
Yeah, it's a little cold in the basement today. So,
All right, Rodney, what's up, man?
How you doing? Yeah, it has been a while, a couple months. It seems like it. So good to be back. Good to be talking to you fellows again. So I'm drinking a Fat Tire Amber Ale.
Nice.
I love a good amber ale.
That's a good Colorado Kool-Aid right there.
Yeah.
New Belgium. I'm Roger. I am also drinking a New Belgium, a Voodoo Ranger IPA, of course. Still the thing I drink now. No, I'm just kidding. Good to see you guys. Tonight's episode is we're all reviewing the Batman, the newest Batman movie that came out. So if you haven't seen it, there's obviously going to be spoilers. There's a little warning there. So one thing I will say, Rodney, I'm jealous that you got to see it in the movie theater.
Yeah, man. It was a cool experience in the movie theater. Once I was watching it on HBO Max a couple days ago, and just catching some details that I kind of missed on the big screen. But, yeah, it was definitely a cool movie to see on the big screen.
Yeah, so when it came out on HBO Max, Sarah and I watched it that night, and the first 10-15 minutes of the movie, I was already so happy and excited for what I was in store for. Especially when Nirvana's like song comes on, I mean, it just sets the tone perfectly, and I buckled my seatbelt, and I was on the edge of my seat from that point on. That was my initial reaction to the first 10-15 minutes. The opening scene is like, a family like getting spied on. You're not really sure what's going on. You hear the breathing. You see like the goggles of whoever's spying on this family. Very interesting opening.
Yeah, I mean, even the Ave Maria soundtrack, the classical music in the beginning. I think the first 20 minutes of this movie is straight up brilliant, man. Like you said, and how the hell did they find this Nirvana song that matches the tone of this movie? Like, it's unbelievable.
Maybe it was the other way around. Maybe he just wanted that song, and they said, "We're gonna match this movie to this song."
Maybe, yeah. That could be it too, yeah.
And
it's what I thought, like, because the song is so great, and I do love that song. And one thing I was thinking about as I heard that song, come on a few times throughout the movie, I was like, maybe people our age are starting to make movies, and this is their soundtrack. And now we get to hear our soundtracks in all these movies, whereas before we were like, it's either like, whatever's going on right now, or like 60s and 70s stuff for all the people who grew up in that era. And now we get to hear our stuff come on.
And it's like this, it's a good song.
Yeah.
But with it to this movie, it's one of those songs that matched with the movie and like scenes just elevates it to like epic status.
Yeah.
And it's moving. Like I had to listen to it like right after the movie. I was like, oh, I gotta listen to that song.
I played it on our home speakers for Gabe because I was like, oh, it's such a great song.
Yeah.
Even Greece was like, yeah, I like this.
And it incorporates it a little bit in his theme song a little bit. You could hear it in his theme song a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say the song is about a serial killer.
Is it? Yeah, but it
The
just matches,
lyrics,
dude.
the lyrics are, I can't remember what they are exactly, but I looked up the lyrics too, and I was like, man, this sounds like a serial killer.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And yeah, it's just such a dark song, dark and beautiful song. So yeah, that's you can't start a movie off any better than that. And for it to be a Batman movie,
Yes.
it reminded me of, and throughout the whole movie, I kept having this feeling of like, you don't get it very much in movies, where you're kind of like not really scared, but you're just so like antsy of what's gonna happen next. And what it kept reminding me of was the first time I watched Seven. Like
Yeah.
it just kept bringing me back to that. And for a Batman movie to be that, dark, I loved it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I loved it too, man. Just a world building, the center for cinematography. I like the casting. I like the acting. So as a whole, I really liked it. I mean, there's some parts felt a little long for me. I mean, there is some fat on this movie where they could have cut out some pieces of it. To me, it just gets a little bit convoluted in the middle. But as a whole, I think the good outweigh the bad so much in this movie.
Yeah.
But I could see how they could have made this maybe 20 to 30 minutes a little shorter.
Yeah.
But I mean, as I said, I thought I was blown away when I first saw this, man.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it didn't feel like a 3 hour movie to me.
Yeah, a lot of people saying it didn't really feel like a 3 hour movie, but I kind of felt it a little bit when I was in the theater.
Yeah, maybe if I was in the theater, but since I was home, I was able to, stand up and, vape or whatever. But yeah, the score, chilling sound effects, the narration. Is this the first Batman movie where like Batman like narrates?
Yeah, I think
Like,
so.
I thought that was really cool,
Hmm.
because he narrates a lot in the comic books, um, and a lot of the animated movies. I know Mike probably hasn't seen much, or I don't know how much you've seen recently.
Anime. Yeah, I don't have a deep knowledge of anything about anime. I know it's animated.
Yeah, so the early animated Batman movies like Mask of the Phantasm is a great movie.
Which is a great movie. I rewatched that with the kids recently. That's
Yeah,
still a great movie.
it's phenomenal. And
Yeah.
like The Killing Joke is a really dark movie, and it feels like the animated movies aren't scared to go to a darker version of Batman, because this is obviously the most dark Batman. I mean, it was like, a thriller crime. It
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
seem. I mean, it made Christopher Nolan's Batman look like, the Batman from the '60s. I
Yeah.
mean, it kind of seems campy compared to, this Batman. I thought Robert Pattinson was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. Like, what did you think of him as he like the oh, come on, the Mount Rushmore of Batmans? Where does he sit? Is he on the Mount Rushmore of Batmans?
Well, I mean, how many? There aren't that many Batmans, are
Well, I
there?
know you got a 50-50 shot if you do a Batman movie, but
Yeah, I mean, you got to throw in obviously. For me, I grew up with Keaton, so Keaton's has got to be on there for me because I'm an '80s kid and a '90s. So the first Batman, Tim Burton's Keaton's got to be on there, and then you got obviously Christian Bale, and then him, right? And then
yeah,
that's it. I don't think there's even a fourth guy.
no, there's not. I don't.
Well, Adam West, like the old timers that like that campy stuff back then. You can say Adam West on there for the guys that are over 80 years old. So
What about Val Kilmer, man?
Yeah, I mean,
I was just
I
kidding.
don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it
don't
was
know, man.
Val Kilmer
Like,
might as well have been Tom Cruise back then. Like it was
yeah,
might as well have Tom Cruise as Batman.
they were just looking for a good jawline back then to really just to fill in the suit. I think, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sarah thinks that Christian Bale is still the best
But
one.
I like his voice. His voice is not too gruff. It's
Yeah.
just spot on. I think they got that right.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he got the kind of sulking, troubled, billionaire way better than Christian Bale did. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like
But one of the
I-
criticisms was he's a little bit, he's a kind of an emo kid in here. He's like, very like, dark and emo and very early 90s kind of vibe and stuff like that. I think I like it, man. He doesn't know how to be Batman yet. It's just this is like his second year or whatever of being Batman. So he's gonna get there. He's gonna get to be, like he doesn't even turn into like Bruce Wayne. I mean, he goes around, he still has the eye makeup on, he doesn't really get out of the Batman mode. So I think that he doesn't know how to be, the billionaire playboy yet. I think that will come. I think he's just full of angst right now. He's young. He wants vengeance. He just wants to kick ass. And I'm really interested. I hope they really explore that arc about him,
yeah.
where he kind of turns into more of the mature kind of Bruce Wayne. And I think a lot of people's like, well, even the detective work, it was very Scooby-Doo-ish, kind of very elementary. Because I think he's just new at this. I mean, it's his second year. Like Michael Jordan wasn't Michael Jordan in year 2.
Yeah.
So I think that he will eventually get there. But I think his character arc, I think he has a good character arc in here, man.
I think so too. And
yeah.
it's the first. It seems like they, and it brings me back to the animated movies and even the video games, and more so the comic books, is that he is a detective, and he does use
Right.
a lot of those. And that's how the games are focused on a lot, is like
Yeah.
his detective work. So I'm glad
Yeah.
that was a big thing about it. Yeah, that was
well,
Yeah.
something different.
The one thing I do feel like when you say that he did the detective stuff, like the one thing I feel like is different with him is he doesn't. It feels like a lot of Batmans have some swagger, right? That some confidence, some, I know I'm troubled, but I'm still kind of a badass kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have that, which I kind of like, right?
Yeah.
He's a little bit vulnerable. He's very worried about everything. He doesn't know quite how it's going to turn out. He's a very different Batman, which I like.
Yeah.
And to bring it back to Christian Bale, is I think I saw too many like videos making fun of his voice, that every time I hear his voice now, I can't take it seriously. It's like, where is he? Like, it just sounds so forced when Christian Bale does it, even though he's a phenomenal Batman. But I do love how the eye makeup, how they kept the black on his eyes. Like it just made it so much more dark, and I loved that part of the movie where he was still like that with his mask off.
Yeah, I mean, I like my Batman low tech, film noir, detective style. I just that world appeals to me, and I think this is going in that direction. As far as the other casting goes, as far as Catwoman goes, I mean, it was all right. I'm not a big Catwoman person per se, but she did good. I liked her.
Yeah.
And then the Penguin, he had a little part in there. He kind of hams it up. It'd be interesting how we kind of develop into his character, because he's not really the Penguin yet. The casting overall is good. I like Andy Serkis as Alfred.
He had a minor role. Like,
yeah,
I think that's another thing that's different about this Batman, is like, it was always such a huge, like, oh, this is, the butler, like, what's his Alfred? Yeah. Alfred was always like such an integral like part of who Batman was, and they didn't have to flex that. Like they didn't force it,
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. The only casting decision I kind of question is that this is just a personal choice is Carmine Falcone, John Turturro. I don't know if he has the gravitas to really play him because I always think of him as like in Barton Fink or The Big Lebowski, some kind of he always plays these weird ass characters. So I wish they would have kind of he's a great actor. I love him, but I don't know if he kind of I don't know if he makes a great Falcone. But other than that, I think the casting is right on.
I mean, he never really pulled me out. One thing that I saw a meme today about why would they cast somebody as good looking as Colin Farrell as the Penguin? You look nothing like him. Like,
yeah. Why cast someone a little bit? Yeah, why go at 9 hours of and 10 pounds of makeup when you could cast someone that looks like the Penguin? Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, it was like, and even Sarah was like, why would they cast somebody like him for the Penguin? Like,
yeah.
And I was like, I mean, Colin Farrell's a great actor, but yeah. I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the main villain. What did you guys think of Paul Dano's version of the Riddler?
Not in love with it. I like that it was. I like that he was sort of not pathetic, but sort of a meek and meager kind of a guy that didn't really have, once he was exposed and caught, he really didn't have anything left. Like there was nothing else left other than, he's only a threat when he's alone. But, like when he's in prison and he's doing the laugh and the screams and it was, I wasn't buying into that.
All right. What about you, Rodney?
Yeah, I mean, I like Paul Dano, whatever his last name is, but
yeah, I don't know.
He just looks freaky to me. Just his face. I know he has that schoolboy kind of innocent face.
Yeah,
and I think that was the right kind of aesthetic they gave to this villain because he's so vile and stuff. But I mean, they gave him a reason, somewhat of a crazy ass reason why he's kind of in this state and how he kind of relates to the city and how he kind of brings Batman and his family, because there's spoilers in this, so he brings Batman and his family full circle, and he believes that the consequences of his family, Bruce Wayne's family and the politicians and the police department kind of made him who he is now. So he's taking no responsibility of his own self-worth, and he's blaming it on all these social injustices. And I think that gave him so at least that's there. That's good. That's good, like psych alchemy to work on, instead of throwing some generic, villain that really doesn't have any clear motives. But I think he's a damaged soul, and I think the society kind of led him down that path. So I think that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and do you know what other villain he reminded me of? Is Kevin Spacey's character in Set?
Yeah.
It's a very similar arc, where he, and I think the movie is very similar, where he knows all this information about people and they're committing crimes and sins and stuff like that, and he's exacting revenge on these certain politicians, cops, even Bruce Wayne. And he kind of feels like the Batman is helping him along the way. And maybe he feels that the Batman is happy with this because, vengeance, he keeps saying I'm vengeance and stuff like that. And then he lets himself get caught at the end.
Yeah.
Just like the same way Kevin Spacey did in Seven.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So I think that's part of his plan. And then, the stuff afterward is, his followers But I thought I loved it, man. Like I'm glad it wasn't like some campy ass dude with a suit on with question marks
You didn't
all
you like
over
the
it.
Jim Carrey version, man? Come on, bro.
Like the like mask, the goggles, like the blurry, out of focus cell phone pictures and videos of him, like the bad audio. It was very Seven-esque. It was very like Saw-esque. It like I said, man, it was just it didn't feel like a comic book movie to me.
Yeah,
Like it broke another barrier of being something and showing what a good dark ass Batman movie could be about.
yeah,
Um, and the Riddler in the video game is like that. Like it's he's not a dumb, like stupid villain. Like obviously
yeah,
the Riddler is very smart, and he has these like intricate plans to screw over Batman, and he's just dark. And I really liked I really liked it.
yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, I mean, it's a very David Fincherish kind of movie where it's filmed at
Yeah,
night. Man, the reds in this movie are they pop out like I haven't seen in film before, where the red is like a burnt fire orange that pops out. Like I don't
yeah,
know how the cinematographer like film his suit in dark like this to make it stand out. It looks phenomenal, man.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a great looking film, dude. So, and the soundtrack, man, it's kind of reminds me of like a serial killer soundtrack, or even like
Yeah,
Jaws, very minimalistic kind of a theme
yeah, because
song.
there's a lot of like little like sounds that happen like during
Yeah,
scenes. It's like it definitely drew me in, and I loved it.
yeah, and it just builds and builds. The soundtrack builds and builds and builds and
Yeah,
builds. Like he's coming in for you. And I like how they made him seem scary in the beginning, like he's
yeah,
Michael Myers or something, you know?
yeah. It like I said, man, it kind of felt like a really dark thriller. It didn't feel like a PG-13 movie. Like it, I was kind of surprised it was only PG-13. Um,
Yeah, but they didn't have. I mean, there wasn't. It was definitely dark, but it wasn't like Anna was like, I don't want to watch the movie because it's dark or this or that. And I'm like, well, it wasn't like it's dark, but it's not real heavy. It's not like it's not like they're killing a bunch of kids or something. You have to sit through that.
well, I mean, it wasn't nothing like that, but the first guy that he kills, I mean, his head's like duct taped, right? And
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
guess yeah, you're right. Those scenes are a little much for PG-13, but there's only a couple of them. I mean, but they hint at the gore and
yeah, like,
Well,
and
that guy
that's
with
what's
the
cool.
yeah.
didn't rats eat his face out? He had that contraption on his face. That's
Yeah,
pretty
Yeah,
they didn't show his face, right? They showed
yeah,
some obscure video where you sort of experienced it, but you didn't watch it.
yeah, and that's what I loved about it. Like it let your imagination do the work, and it wasn't like cheap. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna show this guy's face getting eaten off by rats. Like it was just like a shoddy like cell phone video of what's about to happen. Um, Way cool.
Yeah. One of the things that I was thinking about, I think maybe I missed something though, was how this Batman, a lot of the Batmans have some build up. Well, some of them do have some build up to where you learn how they, became this nearly invincible badass.
Yeah,
And this Batman feels, really motivated, but he doesn't feel super invincible, right? Like it just feels like and it also is coupled with the lack of tech, like what Rodney said. I noticed that too. Like there's not a lot of gadgetry, you know. Like
yeah,
the biggest gadget he has is his little Batman symbol he cuts ropes with, you know.
yeah. And yeah, like when
And then an occasional grappling hook.
yeah, it wasn't like some super badass like grappling hook or like wingsuit where he could like
Yeah.
Does
He has a
does
funny
he-
squirrel suit.
Yeah, he has like this, like when the squirrel suit like that he had, Sarah was like, well, that's terrible. I was like,
Yeah, because yes, I think it's supposed to be because he's learning how to do all this stuff.
yeah, I
it's-
was like,
well,
I
and
like
even
that.
his car, right? I think his car is the
Yeah.
most badass freaking.
I know.
Me too. I love his car. How
Like, and
minimal
it's
it is, dude.
it's just a beefy Camaro, right?
And
Yeah,
it's like
it's
it's like a
cool.
throwback to the OG. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I
So,
thought
I
it
like
was
it.
awesome.
That part of it I liked, that it was that's sort of like the lack of swagger that I was kind of referring to. Like it's there, like he's aspiring to be something something else, right? But he's not there yet, and he's seems nervous about it, not confident about it. That's what I like.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like the first Daniel Craig James Bond, where he made a lot of mistakes. It was like his first time becoming Bond. It was like, what? Bond is always badass. He always knows the right lines. He always does everything perfect. He always has the coolest weapons. Like, so when I saw that first James Bond with Daniel Craig, it was like, I kind of dig it. Like, he's new. He doesn't know what he's doing. He makes mistakes. And you don't really see that aspect. I guess you saw it a little bit with like the Batman Begins by Christopher Nolan, because he was becoming Batman, but the way he became Batman was amazing. So yeah, I enjoyed that aspect of it. And I enjoyed the relationship him and soon to be Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah. They have a good relationship.
Yeah,
Good
like,
chemistry.
yeah, I thought it was awesome. I thought he was an awesome Gordon.
I felt sorry for him because he was always like, well, he's crooked too. Like, what's next? Like, he was always like 2 steps behind, dude. It was like,
Yeah, and he says a line somewhere in there that made me crack up. Is like, trust you. I don't even know who you are, dude. Like, I've been working with you for a year. I don't even know who you are, man.
and then he was like, when he punched him in the police station, he was like, come on, you could have let up on that punch a little bit. He goes, I did.
Yeah, I remember that too. I remember laughing a few times during the movie. So it's got a little humor sprinkled in there.
It does. It definitely does, man. What do you think about the ending?
What's that? Say that
What do you
again?
think about the ending, man, of this movie? Because I know it kind of comes out of nowhere for me a little bit, but then I was wondering what your thoughts on the ending of it, how it ties up the movie.
I didn't feel like it tied itself up intentionally.
Right.
Is that what you? Is that
As
what,
far as just like it kind of goes off into this like action kind of like bombs were all of a sudden, tied up to the city. And
Yeah.
it went from the small gangster tying loose ends up with Catwoman's dad, with Falcone. And then it went into this more of a big action sequence
yeah.
at the end there, kind of.
One of the things I liked about it was sort of, to me, at the end of the day, it was, I mean, for a Batman movie, Batman failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
For a Batman movie, he failed a pretty epic failure, right? For a Batman movie, of him not preventing any of that and all of it really happening. And there was not much to salvage, right? He salvaged some of it, right? With the whole battle inside the arena. But other than that, like, that's the only thing that went supposedly his way.
Yeah.
They didn't, there wasn't a mass murder, but other than that, I mean, he lost, which isn't really not very Batman-y. Batman always wins, right?
Yeah.
Were there any other movies where Batman loses like that?
Well, I mean, The Dark Knight, he kind of didn't win. He did a lot of mistakes in The Dark Knight too, but I think part of Batman is not really succeeding, but just trying in spite of his
that's true too. Like, because it's always presented as sort of a losing battle, right? Like,
Yeah.
I have this challenge in front of me, but even if I win, like, what's really different, right? That's a kind of a prevailing thing.
It's the journey instead of the end game with Batman. It's always an inner struggle to me That's how I see him. How he's just constantly battling these demons, and But
I mean, for me personally, I thought after the Riddler was captured was the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah, me too.
I love the middle. I love the cat and mouse part of the movie. I expected something a little bit oh shit moment after the Riddler got captured, and it was kind of like, okay, whatever. Like, it wasn't a oh shit moment like in Seven, where it was like,
yeah,
he fucking won. Kevin
Yeah.
Spacey did, like, and it just left you like, holy shit, that just happened. I didn't feel that way at the end of Batman. So that was the most disappointing part of the movie for me, was after that, because it was like, come on, like they could have thought of a better way to do it. So
Yeah, maybe that's why I hated the whole prison scene, right, where they're talking back and forth between the glass or the cage or whatever's in between them, right? And that conversation, it was sort of, it wasn't very satisfying.
yeah, I mean, that part I didn't mind as much. It was just the whole, like, when they're in the arena, the bombs that were perfectly set up along the city. It was kind of like, oh shit, like, okay, I guess we're going like, action movie, like you said, Rodney.
Yeah, it kind of jarred me a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of like threw you out of the whole element of the movie. But
I mean, it's kind of a take on social media, how social media could
yeah, and
do the mob mentality and believe, weird, crazy things, and they kind of touched on that a little bit. That's why he did have his followers and stuff.
Yeah.
So that piece was kind of interesting.
I mean, it definitely reminded me of current social media and current issues with our political issues. For it to be like that grimy, dirty, dark movie, and then to kind of like end up there, I just wasn't a big fan of it.
I think the best shot though is that flare shot of him like saving those people in the water. That shot, man, is freaking just stunning, dude, man.
Yeah, that's
when he leads him out with the flare.
Yeah.
And then obviously the invert when he's walking, when he's inverted, like those shots are gonna be iconic for Batman, dude.
Yeah.
Now, I have this in mind. What is the one thing, I want to see if you guys think it's the same thing. What is the one thing that you saw in the movie and go, well, that just looks ridiculous? Did you feel anything, like any costume or scene or, costume?
The squirrel suit kind of threw me off. I'm like, what the hell?
That didn't throw me off. I thought, when I saw Catwoman's mask, I thought that is the dumbest looking mask.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
It was more of a makeshift.
Yeah,
it was like, well, it looked like I made it. Like, it looked like they go, hey, Mike, I know you're busy right now. Could you, like, throw together a mask for Catwoman? And I'd be like, yeah, I'll go down to the dollar store and get some scissors and, like, cut out a beanie.
Yeah.
It looked bad.
I think it's all about the silhouette with Catwoman,
Yeah.
Sleek, sexy silhouette.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think she actually had ears, but the silhouette always made it look like that.
And wow, is she a looker in this movie? Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind her though. I thought she did a pretty good job. But yeah, fine. So they are hinting at in the very last scene, they're hinting at the Joker and the Riddler are talking to each other, right? That's what I picked up.
Oh, Mike,
did you see the
did you watch the deleted scene?
No, I don't think I watched the deleted scene.
Oh, okay. Well, it's on HBO Max, or you could probably YouTube it. But apparently, like in the middle of the movie, Batman goes to Arkham and talks to the Joker. And his like face is like always like really blurry, like behind the screen and all that stuff. And he giggles and laughs and all that stuff. It's actually a pretty good scene. But yeah, you should.
So
you
who
should
is
check it out.
who is this person? Who's the Joker?
He is. Have you seen the Eternals?
Yeah.
Which Eternal was he, Rodney? I can't remember.
I don't
He's
even, I didn't watch the Eternals, so I don't know, man.
He's
I don't even know
also
who this actor is.
he's also an X-Men character.
Hold on, I
He
got
isn't well known. He isn't like
Barry
super
Keoghan.
famous.
He's definitely a weird looking dude.
He's a
it's
weird
Barry Keegan.
Yeah.
He plays.
Oh yeah, this guy. There you go.
Yeah. So he
Oh.
kind of looks weird, doesn't he?
Yeah, that guy. I don't know how I didn't rewatch it. Maybe I should. I mean, he's definitely going to be better than Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
it's such a big step above like the latest Batman with like Ben Affleck and like the newest Suicide Squad's good by Gunn, but I don't know. I'm pretty excited, and they just recently announced that a sequel's in the works and Pattinson's on board.
Yeah. I think DC with the Joker, how good that was with Joaquin Phoenix, and in this, I think they're on the right track where they're not going any Marvel route. They're going to do like real stories about what the character really means and the aesthetic of it. So I like the direction they're going with this. You know what, this movie, it kind of reminds me of a sequel. It's like we've seen the origin story, but through osmosis, like we forgot about it. And then this seems like a sequel for some odd reason. I don't know why. Because we've seen the origin story so much, right? And I'm
Yeah.
glad they didn't go to that origin story at all.
Yeah.
They didn't touch up on it. So this is like part 2 where he's becoming Batman. That's what it feels like to me. Like part 1 exists, but it's not made. It just exists in our mind.
Well,
That makes sense.
that and like it does exist, but there's a twist during the movie where it's like, oh, well, they didn't get shot walking out of a movie theater or play like what always happens.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, he was trying to become, the mayor of Gotham, and
Yeah, they
We
mess
got-
with these
so
with each
it was
family a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, so it was a little twist in that aspect, which I mean I welcome, because it's the old tired like, oh, I got scared in the movie theater, I'm walking out, and then like some random guy, and then it ends up being the Joker. It's like,
I think
come on,
I
man.
think that was just a Tim Burton thing, dude.
No, but that happened in the Christopher Nolan movie, didn't it?
Dude, was it? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it was
Maybe.
Tim Burton, but and like this, it's still the same thing. It's the same thing. So for that to be a different aspect in his origin was like they kind of told the origin story, even though without it being an origin story.
So I felt like there was I like how they did that, and I'm glad they didn't have the scene where the parents die and the pearls going everywhere, blood going everywhere. Like, we've seen that so many freaking times, dude. Like,
Yeah. And her name was Martha or whatever.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the old trope, like the pearls going everywhere. That's the equivalent of playing the fortunate son in a war movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The pearls going everywhere.
But so when's the last time you saw the Michael Keaton Batman movies?
Dude, it's got to be at least 10, 15 years, bro.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen them since we were kids, man. So
Dude, I had a blast with those movies, dude. Jack Nicholson as the Joker, man, just hilarious, bro, man. Just
Prince on the soundtrack, like
yeah, Prince on the soundtrack, like Jack, like this town needs an enema, those classic lines, and you want to get nuts? Let's
Dude,
get nuts. Dude,
I
come
still
on.
say that. I still say that to this day, man.
Yeah, man.
Sarah and I use that line all the time.
And you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? Puts glasses on, knocks the hell out of him.
Punches him. But man, imagine how campy those look compared to this.
Well, Joe Schumacher really jacked the hell it all up, dude. Like he went Vegas on it. Like the Tim Burton's were okay, we're good, and then freaking he went, neon shit with it, dude.
Dude, you talking about the one with the Riddler?
Yeah, that's Joe Schumacher. It's not even Tim Burton. Tim Burton only did Batman and Batman Returns.
I don't even remember who was the Batman for like the cheesy Riddler, and then also
it was George
Freak.
Clooney. George Clooney.
Clooney?
He jacked it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but that was Joe Schumacher. Like Burton got out of that, and then Joe Schumacher went campy Vegas style on us. That's when it was the shit.
But still, that Batman was like such a big movie, man. Like,
yeah, it was.
Kiss from a Rose from Seal, dude. That was, dude, that song is phenomenal, man. Mm-hmm. Like,
great song too, though.
Yeah,
dude,
video.
The Arnold Schwarzenegger one is just you have to watch. Go to YouTube and watch a clip of like, it's so bad.
Oh yeah, that was like I guess the one with the Riddler was with freaking who played Two-Face?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones played Two-Face, man. Like,
and they both were just hamming it up. It was terrible, dude.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey, like it was so campy. Chris O'Donnell as Robin, like it was such a bad movie. It's such a bad movie. But I remember watching it in the movie theater. I was like, oh man, this is
I watched it too.
Yeah, I mean, it was me and you in the theater.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing with Batman, he has such a rogues gallery of villains that directors can't help but put a lot of villains in these movies. Like if they would have kept out maybe a couple villains and this one and made it more tighter, it might have been a lot better for me. It's still a great movie, don't get me wrong, but this has like 4 villains in it, dude. With Falcone, Penguin, Riddler. Like if they would have just narrowed it down maybe to a couple villains. This is I'm just nitpicking now, bro.
Well, I feel like there's only one villain in the movie.
And but then you waste a lot of you focus more screen time on the other villains too.
Well, yeah, because he did pursue them.
And then even the Joker's in it. He couldn't resist having the Joker in it. Like,
well, they cut him out. They cut him out of the movie though.
Well, not at the very end. Like, but still, I mean, I'm just nitpicking. Like even Nolan did it with The Dark Knight, which is my favorite Batman movie, where he put 2 villains in there himself. But you always got to have about 2 or 3 villains in Batman movies.
Yeah, they do try to stuff too much. Even though I feel like this one was just the Riddler. I mean, it had like iconic villains, but they didn't have like villainous roles. Like the Penguin, he was just like a regular guy. He was like an elevated person in the criminal society, but I don't think he was ever like, oh shit, we need to watch out for this guy. And even was it Falcone? Like he seemed like he was a big dog, but I don't think he was ever really a villain in the movie. But I mean, I guess Catwoman being in there, why don't they have to put Catwoman in every Batman movie? But overall,
what would you rank this out of all the Batman movies? Let's do a ranking, just top 3.
All right. Mike, you want to go first?
I would probably put it as my 3rd.
Ooh, 3rd.
Yeah. I really like it.
Well, what's your 1 and 2?
Well, I would be with Rodney. You asked me that one. You just asked me where I'd put it. I would do The Dark Knight as the first one, and then Help me out with the other Christian Bale movies. I'm like the Christian Bale one's the best, probably.
So Begins is better than the third one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I would
So-
go Dark Knight, and then by a hair. Well, I really like Batman Begins a lot, dude.
Yeah, Batman
But
Begins
just-
is amazing. movie.
Yeah. I'd probably have to go by a hair Batman Begins over the original Batman with Michael Keaton. And then this one will probably be a third. So kind of like Mike.
This is the same one as Mike, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go recency bias. I'm gonna say this is number one. Even though I remember watching Batman, or I remember watching The Dark Knight in the movie theater and walking out of that movie like, wow, that is the greatest Batman movie I've ever seen. One of the greatest action movies, just phenomenal.
Movies, period. Yeah.
I mean, I love Christopher Nolan. I love his movies. Inception. I mean, Tenet. We reviewed one of his movies on this podcast. But me being a gamer, reading the comic books, not extensively, but I have very famous graphic novels like The Dark Knight, like The Killing Joke, and playing all the video games, which I think are phenomenal, which you guys should absolutely play. I don't know, it just, I think I have this one as my favorite. And then I would go Dark Knight. And then probably Batman Begins. Batman Begins doesn't get enough love.
It doesn't. It's underrated, man. It's such a good movie, dude.
It is. And it was so unexpected. I remember I think I rented it on DVD one day and watched it, and I was blown away by it.
Yeah.
I was expecting, a shitty Batman movie, and it was not that at all.
No, it wasn't. It was a great one, man.
Yeah. But yeah, so all right, we rated the Batmans. What are you gonna give this on a scale of 1 to 10, Mike?
I'm going the high eights. Definitely high eights, maybe even a flat 9, 8.8 to 9.0. Yeah, that's where I think I'm at.
All right, Roddy, what are you thinking?
I'm giving it a light 8.
Light 8. Like a 8.1.
Yeah. Light 8.
All right. I'm gonna give it a 10.
Woo!
Woo! 10, man.
Yeah, because
Guess that runtime didn't do anything for you, huh?
I mean so there are flaws. So with the rating system I'm going with is you can give a game a 10 and it have flaws.
Sure.
But there aren't very many movies that made me feel the way I felt when I watched this the first time I watched it. Like, I was on the edge of there's not many movies that make me feel on the edge of my seat the entire movie. Well, maybe it wasn't the entire movie, but
No, I hear
the-
what you're saying. That's
for
cool, man.
90% of the movie, it made me feel like I was watching Seven for the first time, and I give Seven a 10. So for I can't think of another movie that's made me feel that way. So I'm gonna say 10. Like it's an absolute must watch. Just turn it on, turn it up loud, and dive into the world that's about to be presented to you because it's absolutely worth it to me.
Cool.
All
So,
right, all right.
Absolute must see.
Yeah, there is something about, and we said it already, but I'll just repeat for effect. There is something about the opening scene, the opening song that's pretty awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty good.
Especially for guys our age, man.
But even Gabe thought so. Gabe thought so.
Really?
He didn't. I don't think he'd ever. Maybe he's heard that song because I listened to it because I listened to the Nirvana MTV Unplugged all the time in the car.
Yeah.
And so maybe he's heard that before, and maybe, but at the same time, I don't know that I've heard that version of that song.
I'm gonna admit, I thought the only version of that song was on MTV Unplugged.
No, it was on Nevermind, bro.
Yeah.
I know. So
Nevermind is such a banger that it's kind of left. It's like kind of one of their lesser songs on there.
It is. And
Yeah.
So when I heard it, I was like, this sounds like a studio version of the song from MTV Unplugged. Like,
Yeah.
this doesn't sound familiar to me. So when I saw that I was on Nevermind, I was like, holy shit, like this is
Yeah, I bet you I haven't
amazing.
listened to that song on Nevermind for a long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Nirvana's not my favorite band, but the MTV Unplugged might be my favorite album.
Oh, dude, that MTV Unplugged is definitely the best unplugged album. And I love Pearl Jam more than Nirvana, but
too.
that Nirvana Unplugged is a masterpiece.
Yeah, I think one of you bought me the damn album. I got it on my wall.
Probably
Nice.
me.
Yeah. See, the thing about my albums, got like you and Raj, like 80% of my albums are from you guys, dude.
So I gotta go, dude. I gotta go to the record store and buy you more. One of the reasons. Speaking of records, one of the reasons why I want a record player is so I can go to the record store.
I want you guys to get a record player for myself as Regions, so I could just get a record for you on your birthday or something. So I don't have to freaking rack my mind. They're like $20.
Yeah, records are cool.
Okay, well, I'm down. Listen, I've got the man cave I'm setting up, and the bottom line is
that your man cave?
it's gonna be a whole huge remodel. When you guys get here, you're gonna be like, really? You did all this? Yeah, I'm repainting, I'm redoing everything. And I told Roger before we hopped on, Rodney, I am building a desk from scratch, a wood desk.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm kind of pumped for it.
Awesome, man. How's that computer running?
Like a dream.
Doubt it.
Yeah, I am torrenting right now, downloading a massive amount of data. And since this is going to be on YouTube, I won't say what it is, but it's a lot of data, and it will be on Plex soon. I've got to transfer all my Plex stuff. So for those people who log in every 9 months to watch a show, they might be disappointed if they log in right now because it's not working.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that library.
I'm telling you, I am committed, especially committed since Netflix and all these other people are doing all the silly stuff that I don't want to be a part of. And like, I'm kind of grossed out by it. And I'm a little tired of it. So got to go back to the old days, the old school method. So, if you guys want something, just let me know.
Will do.
I'll make it happen. And by the way, we've been talking about, I'm gonna make that happen tonight. So if you need it, not that you need it, but it's there.
Cool.
All right. So I think we're gonna end it here. You got any last words about the Batman, Mike Fondario?
No, I am. Very few movies I will rewatch a second time after I've watched them once. I'll watch them a second time, like a long time, have a lot of a span of time in between, just so I can sort of forget some of it and it's a fresh experience. This one, probably going to watch it very soon again.
Yeah. What about you, Rodney?
Sort of a good feel good. Yeah.
No, I love it when a movie meets expectations, because whenever you do a Batman movie, you get a new Batman, the expectations are sky high. And I think this one did fine. And I'm glad that, you know, it turned out as well as it did. And I'm looking forward to the sequel.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like Batman has like a certain expectation that you have to meet, especially after the Christopher Nolan movies. So they're always going to be judged by that. And for me, it exceeded that. Like I said before, when we started this, I was so upset that I didn't watch this in the movie theater, because I would have been such like in that setting of nothing but the Batman.
Dude, the sound in this movie in the theater, I mean, from the rain, like if you have surround sound, like the rain falling down, dude, you should have, I hate to rub it in, you should have saw it in movie theater, dude.
That was one of the things that I told Sarah after we watched it, because I have surround sound here at the home, but I can't pump it up with the girls sleeping, you know?
Yeah.
So I every once in a while I would get up off the couch because Sarah's sitting next to me. I would go to the other side of the room and vape a little bit, and it kind of like pulled me out of that element. So yeah, that was one thing I was like, man, if I was in the movie theater, I would have it would have been bananas. Like, yeah, far exceeded my expectations. Did not seem like a 3-hour movie. Another thing, Rodney, I want to point out was after you saw it in the movie theater, you're like, you sent us a message. You're like, I just saw it in the movie theater. I'm going to say my comments for the podcast. And like, I didn't know what to think about that. Like, was it okay? Was it?
I was trying to make you knucklehead see it a lot sooner. That's why
I know,
gave you a
I know,
teaser.
man. And like that was on the edge of my mind. Like every time, like about the movie, I was like, damn, man, this had to be a good movie. So yeah, kudos to that. Yeah, I love the movie. If you guys made it to the end of this, thank you. Go watch the movie if you haven't seen it. All right.